Hi everyone, in this video we will discuss, I will create a simple network uh, using IPv6 addressing. So as you see, we will have, first we'll create a simple network, then we will create another network, like they will have in two different subnets, and then we will try to connect these two different subnets using two routers. We are using two routers here because uh, we also want to demonstrate that how to configure maybe static routing between the router in case of IPv6. So to create this lab, we need computers, and for that I'm going to click on this N devices, and then N devices I'm selecting one PC and then this is second PC. And now to connect these two PCs, let's bring a switch. So just click on network devices and click on this switch here, click there, and let's select any switch from here. So 2960, I have selected this switch here. And now to connect these computers with this switch, you can see the switch and computers are two different devices, so we need straight through cable to connect them. And so we click fast Ethernet port on this computer and then click on this switch has all these available ports here. We click fast Ethernet 0/1 port here. In the same way, we again select straight through cable, click on computer, select fast Ethernet 0/0 port here, and then go to switch. On the switch we have again available ports. We are selecting the next available port, that's fast Ethernet 0/1. So now you can see we have a switch and we have connected two computers here. We can even connect more computers here with this switch depending on the available number of ports. Anyway, now we have this switch, connected computers, and in our video when we discussed different types of IPv6 address, we also discussed link local address, one specific type of IPv6 address, that is link local address, and that link local address as per definition is required on all IPv6 enabled devices, and that link local address is confined, or that will work only on the local link. So link means on the subnets, so that on that subnet with link local address, these two computers should be able to communicate with each other. So let's first try, or let's first verify is it true. So for that I'm going to PC0 here, click there and click desktop, click IP configurations, and when we see this portion of IPv6 configuration, you can see in the link local address we already have an IPv6 address, and we have also discussed this, that in link local address the initial bits are like FEAT and the interface ID part. So in IPv6 as well, like in IPv4 we have network portion and the interface ID, that specific we call it interface ID. So interface ID is calculated using EUI64 process, and which is based on the MAC address of computers or the interfaces. So I am going to put the link for that discussion in the description section. You can see that how this link local address is calculated, but you can see this link local address has been calculated by this PC by itself, and this is there. And the same way, let's see here in PC1, click there, click desktop, go to IP configurations, and you can see we have the link local address here, and this link local address has already been configured there. And now to verify if these two PCs are able to reach each other, let's copy this IPv6 address from this PC1, copy it and go to PC0, click on command prompt, issue this well-known ping command and paste that IPv6 address and press enter. You can see we are getting reply from that PC, and in the same way, if you want to see try from this PC1 to PC0, so for that we click on PC0 and copy its link local address and go to PC1. On PC1 command prompt, from command prompt we issue the ping command and press enter, and you can see we are getting reply. It means These two computers are able to communicate with each other using link local address, and this link local address, even we don't need to configure it, that is calculated by the computer itself. And we also discussed that this link local address, the interface ID part, can be calculated using UI64 process, or this can also be randomly generated. For example, in Windows machine, that can be randomly generated. Anyway, so you can see these two computers using link local IPv6 address, they are able to communicate with each other. And so as far as we are in the local environment, that's working. And let's create another network here, and for that we are going to select two computers again. Let's say these two computers are there, and then we need a switch there. Again, I'm selecting a switch and putting it there. And now to make connection between these two PCs and the switch, I'm going to select this time the automatic connection type. For that, I click here on the connection type, and the first you can see this is automatically choose connection type. I'm going to click there. So even just before clicking, I'm just going to click on I'm going to press the control key on my keyboard and then click on this connection. So now I go to PC, select there, I click there and click switch. Just click there, okay. And then this switch, and then PC3, and again switch here. So they have been connected. The required cable has been selected, that is straight through. Anyway, you can see here these two PCs, they have been connected, and this time I use this automatically choose connection type instead of selecting the straight through cable. So now you can see these two PC in the same way should be able to communicate with each other, and in a while these colors will turn into green. Means they should be able to communicate with each other. And if you like, then you can in the same way, like if you go to desktop IP configuration, you can see this the link local address, and if you want to verify from PC2, then you just click PC2 desktop command prompt and then say ping and give the IPv6 address we just copied, and you can see we are getting reply. So now these are two independent subnets of the network. Let's give them a different color, maybe just to make the difference. Here, this is the first color here for this subnetwork, and for this next subnetwork, let's click this one, and then we have this network, second subnet. And yes, so now we have these two subnets, and now we want to connect these two subnets using router. So we can select a router here, and we can select maybe a single router, and we can connect the subnet with one interface of this router, and the second interface of the router will be connected with this switch. We can do that as well. But we also want to see that how to configure maybe static route in IPv6. So I'm selecting two routers in that case. Let's see these two routers here. I've selected 1941, but you can select any router there. And now connect this switch with this router. So these are two different devices, so we need straight through cable. Go to connections and press control key, and this is straight through cable. Click on this switch. So I'm selecting this gigabit Ethernet here, and here also gigabit 0/1 interface of this router. And then we select this on this switch gigabit 0/1, and here also gigabit 0/1. So these both of the interfaces are gigabit Ethernet. We can select any one of them, but I'm just selecting gigabit 0/1 because I'll be connecting this G0/0 and G0/0 on both of the routers. So these interfaces, I'll use them to connect these two routers with each other. And now these routers are basically similar devices, and for connecting similar devices we need cross-through cable. So I'm selecting cross-through here, and here click on this router. I'm selecting gig 0/0 interface, and on this router as well gig 0/0 interface, selecting here. So as far as physical connection is concerned, we have physically connected all these nodes there, and now we want to configure the global unicast address on these nodes, because with this link local address they won't be able to communicate with some computers which are on different subnets. And if you want to verify, then we can verify. For example, if we go to PC2, let's take their IP address here, for example, and then we go to PC0, go to command prompt, and here in this command prompt we use the ping command that is used for checking the connectivity between computers, and we pasted the IP address or the link local address of PC which is on different network, and we can see the result in a while here. Sorry, that's there. Yeah, the request time out. It will try for 4 times, so 2 times it sent a request time out, and maybe 4th time, and that will be done. So it means computers from one subnet, they are not able to reach the second subnet. So it sent 4 packets and it received 0, lost 4. So we don't have any reachability to this PC here. Now if you want these computers from network, let's say I'm giving this network 1, the name of this network is network 1, and in the same way let's copy it and paste it here. So this is network 2. Here these are network 1 and network 2. So if you want some computer from network 1 to reach some computer on network 2, so in that case we need to assign global unicast addresses to these computers and also these interfaces of the router. So now we are starting that part. Now global unicast addresses are globally routable addresses, and for that I'm selecting, maybe for this network I'm selecting this global address. So that is 2001 and DB8 ACAD, and then this is actually hex state, first hex state, second, third. So we will have 8 hex state. And so in the 4th part we have the subnet. I'm selecting 1 as a subnet, and then for example in this case this is our 64 prefix length, so this will be this subnet here. And specifically if I write the IPv6 address which we will be configuring for PC0, if I write there, so I'm going to write the complete address, for example, so that will be 1. Let's say this, and if you like that, so this the compact are the compact notation of IPv6. If I expand it in its original form, you see originally this IPv6 address is like this. I'm going to write it again. So that will be 2001 and then 0 db8 and then colon, that is ACAD, and that will be 0001. So these are 4 hex state, and the 5th hex state will be 000, and then 6th hex state 0000, and then again 0000, and then 0001. Now this is the IPv6 address which you see here. We have 4 hex states, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So we have 8 hex states, and in each hex state we have 4 hexadecimal, and each hexadecimal is 4 binary numbers. So it means this IPv6 address is basically 128 bits. But this is the compact form which we can write using some rules, and I'm going to put the link for that video where we have discussed this thing as well. So anyway, this is the IPv6 address. Maybe we assign this IPv6 address to this interface of the router, which will be the default gateway for computers in network 1. And let's copy this IPv6 address, and let's say this IPv6 address we will use this for this PC1. So we could have used this IPv6 address for this PC0 as well, we could have used, but this is recommended that to remember the the number which we can remember easily. So use that IPv6 address for the default gateway. So I'm using this one here, and this, so same IPv6 address, only the interface part, interface ID part is different. So as in IPv4, there are two portions. One portion represents the network, second portion represents the interface ID, which is equivalent to like host IDs, but roughly that is equivalent. So in the host, you can see here interface part, this is 1, this is 2, and the same way for this computer. Let's see, only change the interface ID part, so that is this. So now we decided that what IP addresses, IPv6 addresses will be configuring there. And let's go to network 2. So the network 2, again I'm going to copy the same here, but now here for this, let's go first to this interface. Here instead of 1, we will be using 2 subnet. So that is the subnet part in IPv6 address, the 4th hex state that we are using as subnet. So this is different subnet, this is different subnet, and in this subnet, this will be the IPv6 address for this interface. And for PC2, in the same way, we are selecting this IPv6 address. You can see in this subnet is 2 is same, only the interface ID part will be different, that is there. So now we have IPv6 addresses for all these PCs. This is, you see here, this network ID part is different. So this is 1 for all these interfaces on this network, and this is different for interface, all the interfaces on this network. This is 2, but the host ID can be same in this network, or for these all nodes, I mean. And now we also need some IPv6 address for this interface of the router and also for this interface. Let's see, maybe if I can draw it here. So it means I'm looking for an IPv6 address for this interface and also for this interface. And those IPv6 address should also be in the same subnet. So for that, I'm selecting this IPv6 address. Let's copy and paste. So this time I'll be using subnet 3. Let's say that subnet 3, and this IPv6 address I'll configure on this interface of the router, and for this interface of the router I will have this IPv6 address. And please note that the network ID part is different for this subnets. Let's say maybe if I'll draw it here in different colored even one. So here, that's here. So this is this part. This also needs a subnet, and for that subnet I have this IPv6 address which is representing different subnet, that is there 3, 3, this is 2, 2, 2, and this is 1, 1, 1. Anyway, now we have decided that what IPv6 address we will be configuring on this computer and the interfaces of the router. Now we are going to configure these IPv6 addresses on these routers. So now we go to this router, click there, and we then click on command line interface. It means now this shows that we are accessing the operating system of this router or the IOS of this router using console port. Okay, so let's say click here. Otherwise we could have selected one computer and then computer using the serial port on computer and the console port on this router. We could have connected that way as well, but in this simulation environment we can just directly click there and we can access the IOS of the router. So now we are in the IOS here. Excuse me. Yeah. And here we just, to configure it, first we go to privilege mode using enable command, and from this we go to global configuration mode using configure terminal command. Press enter, and now we want to configure these interfaces. But now at the start, I remember that, if you remember that I selected deliberately the G0/0 and G0/0 interface on both of the routers to connect have to establish a connection between them. And if you forgot that, then just you can go to options, preferences. Here if you click always show port labels in logical workspace, it will show you the port here. So you can see this G0/0 is the port here. This is also G0/0, and G0/1 is the port which is connected with there. So that means this interface of the router. We need to know which interfaces are connected with this network. But now this actually looks crowded, so I'm just removing that thing. Disable to show the names. But now we know the names here. So first I'm going to click on this router, and on this router I'm going to configure G0/0 interface. So I'll just go interface and then the name of the interface and the number. So this is the interface I want to configure that is connected with this router. And the IPv6 address for that I decided is 2001 dba. So to configure IP address here, in IPv6 we have IPv6 as a keyword, then address, and then the specific IP address we decided. So I decided 2001 and db8 colon ACAD colon 3 and then colon 1, and then prefix length, and we press enter. Hopefully everything is fine. So that is colon 3 colon 1. Sorry, this was colon, yeah, so that's good. Enter. And we also need to give no shutdown command to activate this interface. We activated this interface, and then we exit from this interface, because we have to configure the the second interface of this router. We could go directly from there as well, but yeah, just for easiness or whatever, I like it like that. So anyway, we'll go to the next interface, that is interface, and then the name of the interface is gigabit Ethernet. This time the number is 0/1. And once we are in that interface, we need to configure IPv6 address. So IPv6 address, and the specific address is 2001, and then db8 and ACAD. And the IPv6 address we want to configure on this interface of the router is this. And remember, this interface of the router will also act as a default gateway for the computers in this network 1. And the IPv6 address is what we decided is this. So I'm going to configure that address. So 2001 db8 ACAD and 1 and colon 1/64, that is the prefix length, and done. Press enter, and then as usual issue no shutdown command to activate this interface. And one more command that's very useful, we need to give this in the router. That command is used to enable IPv6 routing, and that command will work in global configuration mode. So I'm going to exit from here. I'm in global configuration mode, and this mode, in this mode we have to issue that command, that is IPv6 Unicast routing. That is necessary, that is there to enable IPv6 routing on this router. So now we have configured these all interfaces here, and if you want to verify these all IPv6 addresses, then I press Ctrl Z. I'm in the privilege mode, and the privilege mode we can use show IPv6 and interface brief command to show us all the interfaces available on this router and their IP configurations. So you can see here, as a result of this command, we can see we have gigabit Ethernet 0/0 interface and gigabit 0/1 interface, and on 0/0 interface, that is maybe we forgot to this shows some problem here, up and down, but this should be up. We should again go to this interface. Anyway, it means we could found that there is some problem, there's some issue, and for that let's verify what's the problem here. Anyway, so this is the IPv6 address, 2001 db8 ACAD colon 3 colon 1. So this is this here this interface, and yeah, and G0/1 is the interface connected with the network 1, and for that network we that interface we configured this interface ID, IPv6 ID. This is there, and let's see what's problem here. And for that I'm going to verify here. Yes, seems this is connected, and again let's go here to it, that interface, configure T, and then interface gigabit 0/0 there. Issue no shutdown command. Yes, no shut, maybe first shut down it, and then again say no shutdown. Okay, Control Z, show a IPv6. We want to verify again, so IPv6 interface brief, press enter. It still shows down. Yes, so I forgot because we don't have this interface here. Line protocols up, we let's configure our way, let's activate this interface as well. Sorry. So first go here, and this router as usual, go here, and whatever we did for this router we also have to repeat the same state for the second router. So we say no initial configuration, we go to privilege mode, and from privilege mode we go to global configuration mode, and in global configuration mode we go to this interface, and that interface is G0/0. So let's say interface gigabit Ethernet 0/0, and on this interface we have to configure IPv6 address, and the address we decided is here 2001. This is there, that is 2001 colon db8, and that ACAD, and this is in subnet 3, and then colon 2, and /64 is the prefix length, we need to give that as well. Press enter, and then no shutdown, enter up, and then also we need to configure the second interface which is connected with the network 2 here. So first I'm going to exit from this interface, and then interface gigabit 0/1, the interface which is connected with network 2 here, and then we give the IP address, and the interface IP address we decided is 2001 db8 and ACAD colon 2 and colon 1, and then this prefix length, press enter. Sorry, this I made a mistake. We are basically configuring IPv6 address, and press enter, and then no shutdown command to activate that interface. And also remember that we gave this IPv6 Unicast routing command to enable IPv6 routing on this router. And now we are done with that. Now we want to see all the interfaces and their IPv6 address. So we say show IPv6 interface and brief, press enter, and you can see here on this router now we have this the interface in up and up, and you can verify this is the IPv6 address we configured, this also IPv6 address we configured. And let's go again here, actually is here, let's go here and now see show IPv6 interface and brief command, and now it shows up and up. Sorry, because this actually also checks the physical as well as the data link layer, as the second one was not ready, maybe because of that this was not showing up and up. Anyway, now it shows that. And one more thing I didn't mention, maybe you see here on these two interfaces of this router, one of the IPv6 address we configured. This is the IPv6 address we configured, and this gigabit Ethernet 0/1 interface as well. This is the IPv6 we configured, but we also have second IPv6 address that is there, that has already or that has automatically been calculated there. So that is the link local address. As we mentioned with the start as well, every interface where IPv6 has been enabled, that interface will have a link local address, and that will be used only on the local link, on the local subnet. You can see for this interface we have link local address, and for this interface we also have link local address. So anyway, now we have connected these routers, we have configured them, and now let's go and configure IPv6 address on this PCs. So I'm selecting PC 0 on network 1 and go to IP configurations, and here in this IP configuration I'm going to statically configure this IPv6 address. So static, manual, and here I'm selecting 2001, which I decided, which is shown here. 2001 db8, and this is ACAD, and then we have 1, and then we have 2 here, interface ID part, and then we also need to give the default gateway address. So this is the interface which is used as the default gateway, so that is 2001, and then db8 ACAD, and this is 1 and colon 1. So that's the default gateway we also manually configured here. And then also don't forget to give the prefix length part here, that is 64, and now we are done with the IPv6 address here for this PC. Okay, in the same way, go here, PC, let's say PC2. So on that PC 2, we need to configure IPv6 address. So I'm going to click on IPv6, and this is the IPv6 I'm going to manually configure here. So that is 2001 db8 ACAD, and this is subnet 2, then colon 2. Yes, this is the IPv6 address we decided, that's there, and then the prefix length at 64, and again we also need to give the interface ID. So interface ID is just the same here. I'm just to copy and paste it here, same, only interface ID part is 1. Good. So we have configured the IPv6 address as well as the default gateway. Now let's try to ping from this PC on network 1 to a PC on network 2, that is PC2. So I'm going to click on there. You see, I'm going to copy this IPv6 address, this address, and I will use this address to ping from PC0. So go to PC0, click there, and the command prompt, and the command prompt I'm going to use ping command, and I want to ping the IPv6 address of PC2 that is on network 2. This is there. Press enter, but we are not able to reach there. Destination host unreachable, because we have not configured any routing, or we have not configured a static route on these routers. Now we are going to configure the static route, but let's verify that are we able to reach this PC1 here, from this PC to this PC. So let's go there on this PC and click IP configurations. In the IP configuration, set the manual IPv6 address. So that is 2001 db8, and that is ACAD, and 1 and colon 3. 64 is the prefix length, and the default gateway will be same, only the interface ID part we have 1. So I think we have not made any mistake here, but this is IPv6 address. And now I'm going to copy this IPv6 address and close it. Go to PC0. Here I want to ping this. So ping, paste the IPv6 address of PC1. So I'm going to ping from PC0 to PC1, and press enter, you can see we are getting reply. So at least they are able to communicate with each other using global unicast address. They were able to communicate using link local address, but this time we also verified that they are able to ping using global unicast address, which is actually globally routable. Now we saw that this PC0 is not able to reach PC2, and for that we have to configure the static route on these routers. And now to configure a static route, I'm going to click on this router, and to configure a static route here, we need to go to global configuration mode, and using config-tr configure terminal command, we are in global configuration mode. And here we have a command that is IPv6 and then route, and then we want to give the destination network where we want to reach a destination subnet. So that destination subnet is 2001 db8 and ACAD, and the subnet number was, to reach this network, subnet number is 2, so we say :2 and then ::, that means whole network, and then we also give the prefix length. So this is the destination network we want to reach. But now to reach this destination network, which is basically network 2, so now to reach this network 2 from this router, our next hop is this router. So we are going to specify this interface as our next hop. So the next hop, so this is the interface, and the IPv6 address is this, see here. So let's see here in this window, that is the configuration window for this router. You can see this is IPv6 route destination network. The next hop is that is 2001 db8 ACAD :3 and ::2. So that is the IPv6 address of this interface. So with this simple command here, this command, we have configured a static route on that router, and press enter. There's no mistake. It means, there's no error message. We have done, I think we have not made any mistake. And the same way, if we go to router, this next router, we also need to configure default router here, default route here. Not default, sorry, not default, but static route. We're not selecting default route. Okay, so we are in the configure terminal here, and now the command is IPv6, and then this is route, and then we give the destination networks, that is 2001. So destination network now is this network 1. So that is 2001 db8 ACAD and 1 and ::, and 64. This is the destination network we want to reach, and to reach that we are going to specify this G0/0 interface IPv6 address, that is here. So that is 2001 db8 and ACAD, and that is 3. So this interface here 3, and then this is ::1. That is the interface ID of router, and this is the destination network we want to reach, and these are the keywords we need to configure static route, and press enter. Okay, let's see now if we are able to reach that from PC0 to PC2. So for that, again, we go to PC2 IP configuration. I'm going to copy this IPv6 address and then go to PC0, and then we click ping and paste that IPv6 address and press enter. And you can see now we are getting reply from this computer. So ping request is going all the way from this router and it's reaching here at this PC2 here. And at the same time, same thing, sometimes it's interesting to see, let's see here, edit filter. We are going to deselect all of them in IPv6. We are only selecting maybe ICMPv6. Here, click here, and we give the same command here, that is the IPv6 address of this PC. Now if we click there, now yes, you can see here this goes here, and you can see this goes to this router sends to this switch, and this switch sends to both of the PCs. Only one PC responds back, and these packets come back through router, and it will ultimately be received by our destination. So you can play with that. I'm going to delete this file. I'm going to switch back to real time. And this was this subnet. And now when we are done with that, one more thing I want to mention here is that for this PC, we manually configure the IPv6 address, but there is another method, that is SLAAC, that is stateless auto configuration. So by using that method, these PCs can also calculate the interface ID part of the IPv6 by themselves instead of manually configuration. So in that time, I'm not going to configure, for example, this IPv6 address on this PC. I'm going to click on this PC, click IPv configuration. So do we have that? Did I set here? Just give me a second. So I have configured here. Sorry, this I already configured. But okay, maybe I can remove it. Select here IP configurations, and now I'm going to remove this maybe default gateway information as well. And instead of a static, I'm going to remove this one as well. Okay, let's just maybe just remove it simply. No, we don't need it. Maybe we don't need it. And instead of a static, if we click on just automatic, so an automatic means they will use SLAAC method, that is stateless auto configuration. And in that video we also discussed, you can find the video in that description section. So this time, instead of manual configuration, we just click on automatic, and with this automatic they are getting the interface ID part from this router. So to calculate or to find out the IPv6 address automatically, they are getting the interface, they are getting the prefix part from this router, and they are calculating the interface ID part by themselves from its MAC address using EUI64 process. So that explanation of EUI you can see in that video, but you can see automatically they have received the IPv6 address, and they have also got the default gateway. But at this time, instead of the default gateway address which we configured, they have received the link local address of this router, the link local address of the default gateway. You can see here. But let's verify if this this IPv6 address works. So now to verify it, I'm going to ping again the PC2 from PC1. Now if PC1's IPv6 address works, then it means this request can also go, and we can get back response from PC2. So let's verify it. Click there, and I want to see the IP address here which we configured this. I'm going to copy it and go to PC1, click command prompt, and here issue ping command and give the IPv6 address of PC2 and press enter. And you can see we are able to reach. It means the IPv6 and default gateway on PC1, they are working. But let's say from PC2, if you want to reach PC1, so in that case we need the IPv6 address of PC1. Click there, and to find the IPv6 here, this is one method, but I'm not able to actually copy it. So in that case, we go to command prompt, and we have a command that is ipconfig, that will give us the IPv6 address of this PC, and from there I can copy it. You can see here the IPv6 address. We're looking at the paste one. So this is the IPv6 address. Still I need to fix it. This is the link local address. This is the IPv6 address. So I'm going to copy this IPv6 address that has been automatically calculated by this PC. So I'm copying this IPv6 address and now going to PC2, going to command prompt, and in this command prompt this time I'm using the automatically calculated IPv6 address of PC1 that's there, and we press enter and you can see we are getting reply. That means we just learned two methods. One is a static configuration and that is the one is the SLAAC. There's also other methods we'll discuss maybe in other videos like stateful DHCP. We'll discuss other methods of configuration IPv6 maybe in later videos. So in this video we just discussed how to enable automatic configuration here. So maybe just repeat the same thing on PC3. PC3 IP configuration, we don't have any IPv6 address for it, so we just click on automatic. So now this computer, theoretical this computer will send a router solicitation message. In response that it will maybe get the router advertisement message, and that message it will find the network portion, the prefix part from this router, and for the interface ID it will use the EUI64 process, and that will be based on the MAC address of this PC, and this way it can calculate the IPv6 address by itself. And so these all things, I mean the relevant video I'll put in this description section. So I think this is the end for today's video. Hopefully this was a bit helpful for you to learn how to configure IPv6 addresses on computers and as well as on routers, and also something about static routing in IPv6. And thank you very much for your time, and hope to see you in some other video. Thanks.